Not Quite SFW Jokes. Volume 1. A priest, a student and a businessman are stuck on a deserted island in the middle of the ocean. The priest and the student decide to pray for help, while the businessman relaxes in the corner of the shelter, seemingly having a nap. The priest asks the man, "How come you're not praying? Don't you want God to help us?" The businessman says, 20 years ago I opened up a clothing store. At the end of the year, I gave $1,000 to the church. Business was booming. I opened up a second store, and at the end of that year I gave $3,000 to the church. Now, I'm nationwide. I have 1,200 stores coast to coast, and last year I donated $10 million to the church. So don't worry. You'll find us. A kind and honest old man's wife died. He wanted to place an obituary in the local newspaper. The lady taking his order asks him what he'd like the obituary to say. "A simple man," he said, "just put Rachel died." The lady explained he can actually use 5 words as it's the same price as 2. He says, "Please put Rachel died. Volvo for sale." A family walks into a hotel and the father goes to the front desk. He walks up and says to the clerk, "I sincerely hope porn is disabled." The clerk at the desk replies, "It's just regular porn, you sick bastard." A man walks into a pet shop and says to the owner, "Okay, I want to buy a pet, but I don't want a boring or normal pet, no cats, dogs, or birds, I want something different." The pet shop owner informs him that he has a talking centipede. "Really?" the man replied. The owner informs him that the talking centipede is $50. Happy with the unusual offering, the man pays the money and takes his new pet home in a matchbox. On getting home he lays the matchbox with the centipede in it on the table, opens it and says, "Hello Mr. Centipede, fancy going to the pub for a few drinks?" The centipede says nothing. Figuring it must be tired from the journey, he decides to leave it for an hour and try again later. An hour later he opens the matchbox and says, "Hello Mr. Centipede, fancy going to the pub for a few drinks?" The centipede again says nothing. Starting to get suspicious, the man decides he will give it one more hour, and if the centipede doesn't talk, he will take it back to the shop for a refund. An hour later the man opens the matchbox and says, "Hello Mr. Centipede, fancy going to the pub for a few drinks?" The centipede says, "I heard you the first time, just getting my shoes on."
That's what she said!
When I was young, I once caught my grandfather sprinkling gunpowder onto his grits one Sunday morning. I asked him why he would do that. He explained, "Kid, my father did this, and his father did this. If you do this as well, every day, it'll help keep you healthy and hearty well into your golden years." It must be true, since when he died last year, he was 97, and left 13 children, 27 grandchildren, 12 great-grandchildren, 4 great-great-grandchildren, and a 15-foot crater where the crematorium used to be. A very drunk man decides it's finally time to leave the bar. He stands up, wobbles a bit, and proceeds to throw up all over the front of his shirt. He looks down and bursts into tears. The bartender walks up and says, "Hey buddy, what's wrong?" Between sobs, the drunk says, "My life is over. I told my wife I would quit drinking, and just look. She's gonna leave me. I've ruined everything." The bartender tells him, "Don't worry. Here's what you do, take a $20 bill and put it in your pocket. When you get home, tell your wife you saw a buddy who was drunk and you helped him home, and in the process he barfed up all over your shirt. He felt so bad he gave you money to get it dry clean. Just that easy." The drunk agrees, sticks the money in his pocket and stumbles home. Sure enough, at home his wife is waiting in the doorway, positively fuming. "Where the hell have you been?" Honey, calm down. I helped a buddy who was drunk home and he chundered all over me. But look, he gave me $20 to get my clothes clean." She reaches in his pocket, "There's $40 here, though. That's because he also shit in my pants." A frisky gay couple is traveling on a plane. Let's call them Steve and Bill. "What if we had sex during the flight?" asked Steve. "Are you crazy? Here, on the plane? It would be awkward, everyone would watch us doing it. Nobody is paying attention to anything. Look." Steve stands up and asks loudly, "Could I have a pencil, please?" Nobody gives a damn. Everyone is sleeping, reading, looking out the window, etc. "They really wouldn't care then, would they?" says Bill. So Steve and Bill have wild sex on the plane. Later, when the plane arrives to the airport and the people are leaving, the stewardess sees an old man who threw up all over his shirt, even his pants are soaking in the filth. "Sir, you should have asked for a bag." "I didn't dare," whispers the old man. A few rows ahead I saw a man asking for a pencil and I saw what happened to him.
That was hilarious.